What's up, guys? I hope you've all recovered from the violence that you witnessed at UFC 218 last night, because we have another fight card to predict. This time it's UFC Fight Night 123 in Fresno, California. And although it is a fight night, we've got a pretty good card on our hands, I'm thinking. I mean, it definitely has potential. But like always, before we get into these predictions, I'd like to review UFC 218. Definitely can't bypass that. It was a crazy night. So without any further ado, let's talk about UFC 218 for a couple minutes, and then after that, we'll get right into those UFC Fresno predictions. Okay guys, so last time I predicted the entire card, and as you can see, I went 2-2 on the Fight Pass fights, 3-1 on the FS1 prelims, and 3-2 on the main card. Not too bad, not the best. I actually really enjoyed predicting the entire card. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be doing that this time, but if you guys want to see me predict the entire card again for, let's say, UFC 219, then show me some love in the comments, hit that like button, and I'll definitely reward you guys. Before I discuss this main card, I just want to talk about one moment that happened in the prelims. It wasn't even like a flurry of punches or something that was impressive. And in fact, I would say it's probably one of the most iconic moments in female MMA. It was a moment in the Felice Herrig versus Courtney Casey fight, which, I mean, it was a pretty good fight. But basically, Courtney Casey grabbed like a bloody piece of snot from her face and threw it at Felice, and then they started flipping each other off and cussing each other. It was really intense. I actually didn't get to see it live because FS1 cut out, because I guess they think middle fingers would offend us too much. But when I looked at it on Twitter, I was like, oh my god, that was intense. So that was a really good moment for female MMA. That was pretty savage. But anyway, back to the main card. Okay, so the first fight, Tecia Torres pretty much did exactly what I thought she was going to do. She's pretty much like the Dominic Cruz of the female strawweight division, because, I mean, most of her fights go to decision, and she has really good striking, but it's not like put you away, knock you out power. But yeah, that fight went pretty much exactly like I thought it would. And then in the Eddie Alvarez-Justin Gaethje fight, that was an amazing fight. That was so awesome. I knew somebody was getting knocked out. I had picked Justin, but Eddie's cardio and body shots proved to be what would win him the fight. That knee was crazy. You know, out of every moment on this entire event, nothing surprised me as much as Eddie knocking out Justin with that knee. I did not. It came out of nowhere. I really didn't expect it. Honestly, I was kind of thinking it was going to go to decision. And if it would have, I think Justin did more physical damage during the fight, but I would have said Eddie by decision unless Justin got in the knockout. But yeah, when Eddie landed that knee and knocked out Justin, I was pretty surprised. Okay, and the next fight, Henry Cejudo versus Sergio Perez. I knew Henry was going to dominate him. I was at least 98% sure that Henry was going to win. He didn't get the knockout like I expected, but he dominated with the wrestling, so not mad at all. Next up, we had Alistair Overeem versus Francis Ngannou. And let me tell you guys something. I'm actually embarrassed right now that I picked Alistair to win by decision. I apologize. That's my bad. But Alistair died, and I'm not making a joke right now. There was at least like 20% of me that legitimately thought Alistair was dead when he was knocked out like that. I mean, this man was laying down there, stiff as a board, with his toes curled up for probably 30 seconds. I mean, I thought there was a chance he was deceased. But Francis, yeah, Stipe, you better watch out. Francis is the real deal. He's a pretty scary guy. So I guess I apologize for making that prediction. I mean, I just thought that Alistair's sheer technique and being such a contender in the heavyweight division for such a long time, like his experience was going to prevail. But that chin, man, he's got a real problem with that chin. And then the main event, let me get a round of applause. This makes up for the Alistair prediction, because I predicted Max Holloway by knockout / TKO in the third round, and that exact prediction happened. So if I can get a little bit of applause, no, I'm just kidding. But seriously though, I was pretty proud of this card. I think that, in my opinion, I know a lot of people probably won't agree, but I think it was better than UFC 217. So thank you UFC for a great event. Thanks to all the fighters. It was a really violent card. But without any further ado, let's get into those UFC Fresno predictions. For the first fight on the main card, we have Albert Moraes versus Benito Lopez. And if you're wondering why Benito's picture is black and white, it's because he is from the Contender Series. He won his fight and got a contract. I think the UFC is trying to make a star out of him. He's undefeated, so that's always appealing to promoters. Both of these guys were actually supposed to fight each other once before, but Benito had to pull out for, I think it was an injury. Both of these guys haven't really fought the best competition, but the UFC for sure is a different level. And Albert Morales went to decision with Brett Johns. If you didn't know, Brett Johns is that guy that got that crazy calf slicer on Friday, so he's a pretty good fighter. Despite that, though, I'm going to say that this is a really tough fight. I don't think either one of these guys are going to finish each other. I think it's going to be a tough battle and go to decision, and I have Benito Lopez winning by decision. For the next fight, we have your boy Eryk Anders versus Markus Perez. Both of these guys are undefeated, so someone's O has got to go in this situation. I think that Eryk has definitely fought better competition, and he's been in the UFC longer. Markus doesn't really seem like he's fought high-level guys. Eryk is a big, scary knockout artist. Not really anything else to say about him. Markus is just about as well-rounded as you can possibly get, but I think he's going to be outclassed here. I think Eryk's going to come out in the first round, probably overwhelm him. So I'm going to go ahead and say Eryk by first-round knockout. If it makes it past the first round, past second round, you know, it's iffy, but I think that Markus is going to definitely get caught in the first round, so I'm going to say Eryk by first or second round knockout. Next up, we have Scott Hot Sauce Holtzman versus Darrell the Saint Horcher, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Scott is the favorite as of now, but I have to say I really don't agree with that. Scott has pretty much been on the prelims for his entire UFC career. He's had wins and losses in the prelims, so nothing really that impressive. But Darrell, on the other hand, he's 13-2, and 6 out of 7 of his last fights are wins. The fight he lost was a loss to Khabib Nurmagomedov, so that's definitely not anything to be ashamed of. I think Darrell has more potential. I think Scott's going to get outclassed, outstruck. I'm not sure about ground game for either one of these guys. I'm pretty sure it's just going to stay on the feet. But I have to say, I think Darrell Horcher is going to be able to win by decision. Next up, we have Marlon Moraes versus Aljamain Sterling, and I'm really looking forward to this fight, but there's like a little catch, and it's that Marlon just fought about 3 weeks ago at UFC Norfolk, and he said in his post-fight interview that he wanted to fight again soon, but this is like is this man trying to pull a Michael Bisping right now? I think that, well, first of all, Marlon just beat John Dodson. He beat him pretty handily. I think it was a unanimous decision, might have been a split decision. So based off that, I would say that Marlon beats Aljamain any day. Not taking anything away from Aljamain. He's a great fighter, but I think Marlon is better than him. But this entire fight is going to be based on how well Marlon can recover from having fought about 3 weeks ago. I'm really willing to give him the benefit of the doubt here. So I'm going to say Marlon by decision. But if he can't recover, then Aljamain's going to overwhelm him. But he looks like he has good recovery. He looks like little Eddie Alvarez. So I'm going to go ahead right here and say Marlon Moraes by decision. For the co-main event, we have Jason Knight versus Gabriel Benitez. So in his last fight, Hick Diaz fought Ricardo Lamas, and he showed us all why there's levels to this, why the rankings exist. He got completely destroyed by Ricardo. He got knocked out in the first round. Everybody thought, since Jason knocked out Chaz Skelly, that he was going to be some knockout artist, but his striking definitely needs improvement. But I think against this Gabriel Benitez guy, Jason is definitely going to win. I think Jason's best attributes are actually his ground game. And if you look at this other guy's submission percentage, you see that he likes to be on the ground too. So all I see happening here is Jason rebounding off this guy, completely outclassing him. I think it's going to go to the ground for sure. And I think Jason is probably going to choke this guy, definitely submit him by round 2. That's my prediction. For the main event, we have number 4 ranked Cub Swanson versus number 6 ranked undefeated Brian T-City Ortega. And let me start this off by saying this definitely has not been a good year for undefeated guys. Cody lost, Joanna lost, Justin lost, so on and so forth. However, in this situation, I really think that Cub is a great matchup for Brian. Cub's ground game isn't exactly that good. Most of his losses come by submission, and that just happens to be Brian's specialty. But Brian is good enough on the feet to where it would be a back and forth war. He's not going to get knocked out or anything. He doesn't have a suspect chin. Obviously, he's never been knocked out. Cub looked great against Doo Ho Choi, who was a knockout artist, but he looked like trash against Artem, who really isn't good at anything. So Cub is kind of like he's either on his game or not. And in this situation, I really have to give it to the underdog here. I think Brian's going to take it. I think Brian's going to submit Cub. I think he's going to get Cub on the feet pretty even, but when it goes to the ground, he's going to use his magical submission game and get Cub in some choke or some armbar or something. So I'm going to go ahead and say Brian Ortega by submission in the 4th round. I think he's going to soften him up first on the feet, end up taking him down at some point, and then just submitting him. That's going to be it for these predictions, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you have anything you want to say, make sure to tell me in the comments, anything I should change, anything you liked about the video, or you can just tell me your predictions. I enjoy hearing y'all's predictions too. So thanks for watching another one, guys. I'll see you next time.